Hi everyone, my name is Michelle and welcome to my channel. I make time-lapse videos of how I did my paintings. In today's video, I kind of like to chit-chat a little on top of explaining what I was doing in the painting process. So I received a request from my best friend to paint her childhood home. Based on a few photos she sent me, I decided on what elements I want to include in the painting. I made a sketch on the paper first to get the perspective right before I do my real sketch on the canvas. This canvas, as usual, is primed with gesso and a layer of oil primer. I love to paint on an oil primed canvas. It's very smooth to paint and it really does help to use a lot less paint compared to a gesso primed canvas, as gesso tends to suck up a lot of paint. The lesson I learned from previous painting of trees or anything that uses a transparent color like green, red and yellow is to be very careful of where I place my paint and the brush strokes, even in the first layer. In the past paintings I did, some of them I laid the first layer of color very carelessly, without caring much about the brush strokes. So when I reached the second layer, the paint being very transparent, does not have a good coverage, and my sleazy brushstrokes were very visible, resulting in me having to paint on more layers of color. So now I don't do that anymore. When painting the short grass, after I laid in the green color, I used a tissue paper to dab it so that it has a consistent look across, instead of seeing brushstrokes everywhere, and then it starts to have a slight illusion of short grass. I like to paint details in whatever subject I do, including this house, all the ridges and pipelines, etc. Maybe it's my lack of imagination, I just didn't know how to paint it without those details. And I love miniature things. Maybe that's why I love painting these tiny details. But one of the troubles with painting these tiny details is that the wear and tear of these tiny brushes are very high. But sometimes I don't throw away these brushes that have splayed immediately. For example, in this painting, the small brush that has splayed is perfect for me to paint the short grass in the second layer. For the different plants and trees, I premixed several different shades of green so that they each have a different look, just like in real life. I painted the cloud in the sky only in the second layer, and it's not a thick white at this point. When the second layer of the sky is dried the next day, I added more white to it and very light-handedly. I find that this dry brush method can produce a very soft-looking cloud. I usually spend quite a while painting the cloud as I add the white very gradually. The first layer of my color was mixed with Sensador only. The second layer I used 1 part linseed oil and 2 parts Sensador as the medium. Towards the end, I used 50% linseed oil and 50% Sensador as the medium. With this mixture, the area I paint on pretty much dries up the next day. This painting span across a week and a half, So usually when I paint the second layer of one particular area, it's mostly dry, making the detail painting easier. Same goes to painting the leaves on the trees. Since its first layer is dried, it's easy to dab on the green on the second layer. The roof, I regretted not to paint the details the next day. As you can see here, it's not very realistic looking. So here's another example. If the first layer is wet, it's not quite possible for me to paint these fences that effectively. Here, because the first layer is dry, if I painted the line too thickly, I can just use a clean brush, dab a little medium, and wipe the mistake away. Here the side windows have been painted with black, but I wanted to desaturate the black a little, so I added in some grey. At this point, I think it's been 2 days since I finished with the sky, so I was pretty sure it's dry. Hence, I was able to add a transparent rainbow here. I dabbed my brush in the medium and dabbed the tiniest bit of color, tested it on a bit of loose canvas, then only I put the color on my painting. I find the colors were a bit too intense. I used a tissue paper to dab and rub the excess color. I need to paint tiny lines over this brown color to portray the bars of the steel door. I tried painting on it while the brown color was wet. It didn't work. Well, it can be done, but it will definitely take a lot more effort and care. So I prefer to wait for this to dry and paint the bars the next day. Same logic for the windows. Before I got serious on this painting journey, just like many artists out there, I had always pondered, what is my style? What is my painting style? Can I go forward if I don't know what's my style? Thanks to the various artists on YouTube, they all advised not to worry about this in the journey. You will come to realize what is your style. And I think that is so true. Looking back at this painting of a house, I have also painted Portofino and the Forbidden City. They all have a cartoon or animation feel to it. On one hand, they look realistic because of all the details, but on the other hand, I find that they have a cartoonish look to them. It's sort of a weird combination, I suppose. And these paintings, they just don't look like typical oil painting, which usually have visible brushstrokes and very bold brushstrokes. I don't like to see brushstrokes, hence my paintings all have very smooth texture. Maybe that's what contributes to the animation feel. I wish I can paint the typical way, but I just can't. Thinking back, I realized I have always been painting like this since I was in school. Maybe I can paint the typical oil painting way if I ever go attend a proper art school. Maybe I will not. I don't know. Anyway, who said oil paints must be painted a certain way? And why do I want to paint like everybody else? I think this is my style. The style I have been long looking for. I don't have to do what everybody else is doing. We are all unique in our own way, don't you think? So back to this painting, I always have a mental note of what I'm going to paint in the session, in today's session and the next. As you can see, the process is painting from things on the far end to the front. Having a mental note of planning makes the process much easier. I have never done alla prima for painting buildings. For those who don't know, alla prima is to complete a painting in one single session, wet on wet. Because I paint so many details, it's impossible for me to paint alla prima style. But I really look up to people who can do alla prima. I wish one day I can do that too. Lastly, I find there are not enough flowers on the plant, so I added some more. And there is the completed painting. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to click like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye bye.